All right, aloha and welcome to another Aloha Friday drip. Tyler Deveraux, Jackson Campbell. And dude, it's good to be back in office recording. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, you've been out of town. You've been out doing some stuff, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Love it.
By the way. But yeah, you've been gone. I've missed you. I've missed doing that. I've missed doing the podcast. Excited to be here. Yeah, man, let's get into it.
Dude, it's been a fun few weeks, man. I've experienced a ton of great things. But real quick, man, the last extended cut that you guys did with Casey Field, money.
Thanks, bro.
I loved it.
It was awesome. Casey was amazing.
Casey, if you're listening to this, dude, I learned so much from that episode. Literally took tons of notes, talked to Brittany about it. I loved it. I loved the true champion side. I loved how you talked about your dad. I love how you talked about having fun. I loved it. Great episode, man.
It was just so awesome being out at his ranch and being in his barn where we actually recorded, and just really being in the atmosphere that he's been able to create for his family was something special.
Yeah.
Like his kids came in towards the end, and it was just like a loving, awesome environment to have kids in. So Casey, thank you again. If you're listening, thank you again so much for having us in your home, recording, letting us intrude with your kids and your family and your pups and your horses and everything. It was awesome. So thank you so much for having us. It was awesome.
He sent you home with some product.
He did send me home with some
product.
product.
I took your pre-workout before I took remind me that
CBD, something pro.
Pro CBD?
Yeah. He's got pro CBD, and then he's got the supplement too. Jeez, I can't remember.
We're going to put the link in these show notes because I took your pre-workout yesterday. And it was a great pre-workout.
It's good stuff.
I'm pretty picky with my pre-workout. I've tried a million of them.
It's good stuff.
It was awesome stuff. We'll put the link in the show notes.
I've also used the CBD that Casey has. I've used a bunch of different brands of CBD, and this one has just been the best for me. Obviously, I've shared on here, trying to gain my health back, going through that process. I am. Going through that process, your body feels sore a lot, and I've been using that CBD that he has, and it has helped with recovery so much. I've loved using it.
Dude, I need to try it because my chest is on fire.
Yeah.
We were just talking about, actually, before we started. I'm on this new workout routine too, and I am
tight.
Feeling good, though.
Yeah, no, so it's good stuff. Casey, thank you again so much for having us. It was just special being there with him, and he talked about being a true champion. Yeah, he talked a lot about his dad being a true champion.
Yep.
But Casey himself is a true champion just by the way he carried himself and the way that he interacted with us. It was special. It's awesome. So today, do you mind if I bring up the topic?
Let's do it.
Okay, so today I want to talk about your trip. You just went on a trip. I want you to talk about that. Okay. You went out and you met with your coaches.
Yep.
Right. One of the things that you do, Ty, you don't only acquire multifamily properties, but one of the things that you do is you teach, coach, and mentor others in the space. On how to acquire multifamily properties, and you sell packages to people to join your mentorship program, work with your coaches, work with your specialists to gain what they're trying to gain, to grow, right, to become multifamily investors. But you also have coaches and mentors that mentor you, that you buy their products from.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make that quick parallel. That Tyler not only sells coaching and helps others get into the multifamily space, but Tyler is spending good amount of money on his own personal coaching as well.
I mean, dude, you have to. Like, life is all about becoming. And do you know how you become? You become by learning. I love to learn. So, and the only way, and I want you to listen to what I'm about to say, every single person on this, I always want to say call, this podcast is the only way that you can impact others and lead others is to make sure that you're continually growing. The minute you stop growing is the minute that you lose your ability to lead and impact. So now more than ever, I literally need to enhance my view, my ability to grow and learn so that I can also teach and help. And so I have to do that. And the more that you climb, the higher you climb, the harder it is to find people that continue to push. You can learn from anybody, but people that enhance your views and push and grow. So yeah, dude, I spend, invest. I look at it as an investing though, in a lot in education and coaching and help and support. And it's because, man, what's the word I'm looking for? It's I have to.
Yeah. It's a necessity. It's a
Yeah,
requirement.
totally.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable, dude.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable. Have to. It's like it's my responsibility. It's not this is what I was gonna say. It's not an option. It's an obligation.
There you go.
Literally believe it's an obligation. So yeah, dude, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just wanted to draw geez, dude, there's so much you just said right now, but one of the first things that you said was you love to learn.
Oh yeah.
All great leaders, all great people that are successful love to learn and implement those things that they learn. So that's awesome.
Why is that? It's because, man, some of my core value, my definite major purpose is to help others. And like, you can only help others by helping yourself.
Totally.
Like, so many people get that backwards. Now, you can also impact yourself and help others impact yourself by helping others. But if you truly want to make an impact on people's lives, like, and pull them to different levels, you got to be able to be at a level to pull them up.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, dude, so key. So key there.
So
Yeah.
for reference, I flew out to the last one that I just went to. I flew out to St. Louis, Missouri. Hadn't been to St. Louis for a while, actually, man. And went with Andy Frisella, First Form facility, which was an amazing facility, by the way. Like, dude.
Why was it so amazing? What was so amazing about being there?
I mean, that's a loaded question.
We'll pull out a couple things from just being at his facility.
If the only thing that I did the whole time that I was there was walk through the facility, get the tour of the facility, if that was the only thing that I did, it would have been worth every penny that I spent to get there. Every penny.
That's awesome.
More than. Like, so let me just walk you through that side. First Form, if you're not familiar with First Form, they're a supplement, health, wellness type company, and their building is massive. You pull up to their building, it's right next to Amazon. It's bigger than the Amazon building, but you walk in and you can't help but feel the culture and the energy in that place.
It's awesome.
It's huge. Like, you walk in, and what was cool is they had a team member there that greeted us all in this lobby area, right? And then they have their core values listed right behind the reception type desk. And he goes through and talks about these core values and why they're so important, and talks about them. Like, he's teaching us, like, hey, man, if you're going to go through the rest of this facility with us, this is what we abide by here. Fall in line.
Follow suit.
Really. But I mean, that's not how he said it, but
Right.
that's what the message was. And all of us are like, it was impossible to not want to do that, you know?
Right.
So we walk in and it's freaking beautiful. Everything is spotless and just excellence everywhere. Their tables, bro, their conference tables, we got to upgrade our conference table.
Okay.
Their conference table were, whatever, it's a conference table, but in the middle, like here, it said First Form, like, so it was like customized. Like,
That's
it was
so
almost
cool.
like it was this centerpiece that was almost like glass or something. And then it had First Form custom lights or whatever underneath it. Like,
Very cool.
So they're all customized. They were super cool. But then you walk in and you have this quote about how they're nowhere near where they're going to be. There's a lot of work to do, essentially. And he's like, I want people to see that every single day, because they walk in this facility. It's an amazing facility, but there's a lot of work to do. We're nowhere near where we're going to go. There's a lot of work to do, man, and it's our job to get us there. And that's why I say always growing, always learning, always pushing, always moving. That's life, dude. That is what makes life fulfilling. And that is the message that they see every single day walking in. That was powerful. The different departments that they go through and how they operate. And, they abide by a lot of the same stuff that we abide by, which is value creation. Value. They want to provide as much value as possible all the time. They have inbound customer support. They have outbound customer support. And they have allotments where they want to provide as much value as possible, which is powerful. And everyone there buys into that culture. For example, they have a big weight room there. It's a beautiful weight room.
Yeah.
And every weight is placed perfectly back in its spot. Every weight. Not just placed in the right spot, but like the plates, right? You put the plate up and it's like never crooked. It's lined up perfectly. And if you don't do that, you lose gym access for 3 months.
Wow.
There's not a speck of paper on the floor. There's not even water by the sink. Like, they take care of their place because they abide by their core values of excellence, which is awesome.
And that's just the culture that Andy and his team have been able to create.
That's exactly it.
So to talk about that. Talk about the culture that you were able to witness and experience, and how because we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I really want to pull that out. How you just fell right in line with the culture that they have there without even being
it's not
asked
an option.
to. Yeah. You weren't even asked to.
No, you weren't asked to.
Yeah.
It's not an option.
Right.
You go there, everyone in that building will make sure that you're living the culture. Why? Because they care about the culture that they've created there. And so it's not an option. It's absolutely not an option any other way. And that standard of excellence is contagious. It's absolutely contagious. And so I look at it with our organization. We do a lot of things right. We do a lot of things that need improvement. That's any organization that's growing. But I'll tell you one thing that we do pretty decent is culture. And I've known that. It's been an important thing for us, from the very beginning.
Yep.
But I also see how we can enhance our culture, and that's also impactful. Let me tell you one more thing that they do.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody's hired on, one of their onboarding processes, hear this out. One of their onboarding processes is they have to work out with their team lead, their manager. I think it's like 6 months. They have to work out with that every morning, 6 months. Why? Because if you can't, and what they do is they push them past where their comfort zone is. Because if they can't get pushed past their comfort zone and they don't step up to that challenge, they're never going to be able to step up to the challenges that come on day-to-day work within that environment. That's how they weed people out.
Wow.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
That's also how they've grown,
Yeah, yeah. How they identify those team members that they want to have. That's awesome. Okay, what else? What else have you learned? What else did you? Let's do an overview of that weekend. So you went and you toured First Form's facility.
Yeah.
And then was it 2 days, 3 days?
Well, first off, we got there and we had a dinner that night with Ed and Andy. It was a smaller group, maybe 100 people, maybe.
That's awesome.
I think. And then had dinner with Ed and Andy that night. And that was great, to just see, because I hadn't met Ed or Andy face to face yet. And just to see that they are very normal people, man. Very normal people. And it's something, this is a huge takeaway for those of you who are listening and you see these people that are different levels and you're wondering, they're just, great people are just naturally great, or, these people are just different. No, they're not. No, they're not. They are normal people who have found ways to enhance their belief on what's possible, and they've taken action, and action enhances your belief on what's possible. That's all it is, dude.
Yeah.
They have a commitment to excellence. They're normal freaking people, though. Normal people.
They have a commitment to excellence.
A commitment to excellence in their life and everything they do.
Yeah, that's a huge takeaway.
It is.
It's a huge takeaway.
But it was awesome to see them just interact as they are normal people.
Yeah.
And it was refreshing to me because I always want people to say that about me. Always. Like, oh, you're just a normal dude, man. And sometimes I get a little bit almost nervous, as weird as this sounds, nervous about growth, nervous about growing. Why do I get nervous about growing? Because what have we been told? We've been told these people that have grown to a certain level, they're prideful, they're pompous, they're whatever.
Right.
Well, that's just not the case for the successful, great people that I've met. Now, are there successful people that are pompous? And yeah, they're douchey before they were in a position where anybody recognized they were a douche. It's just a fact.
Totally.
But great people have a standard of excellence and continue to force themselves to become great and help other people become great and care about other people. Those dudes care, man. There's zero doubt in my mind that those dudes care, and that was awesome to see, and really fueled me, dude. Because they're at a different level, obviously, than I am, a very different level.
Yeah.
And I mean, I aspire to leapfrog their ass at one point, but to know that anybody, I love to see that people are real.
Yeah,
I guess is my point.
How do you said that they loved everybody there, and that they were very intentional with everything that they did there. And that they really, you could tell that they cared about you by these little details that they did. one of the things that we talked about is how bold Andy was.
Yeah.
In some of these situations. I definitely want you to, if you don't mind sharing that experience, I'd love to have that shared here as well, and pull out those golden nuggets as well.
So if you've ever listened, Andy has a podcast called the Real AF Podcast with Andy Frisella. And he's very bold. Very bold. And it's funny because, the first time I started listening to it was Alec was living here.
Yeah.
And he was living in my house, and I would hear every morning as he's in the shower, I would hear somebody yelling at him. Whatever he's listening to, it's like somebody just yelling at him, dude. I'm like, who the is yelling at you every morning in the shower,
Yeah.
He's like, bro, it's Andy Frisella. You don't listen to that, So I started listening. And if full transparency, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it because I didn't know who Andy is as a person. Meaning I was like, this guy's freaking aggressive, dude. He's aggressive. But then I go meet it. But then I get on calls with him, and I'm like, no, this guy is a genius, first off. He's a genius. Why? Because he's committed to a standard of excellence. That's why he's a genius. He is, dude, his story is impactful. It's not an overnight story, dude. It is the epitome of just continual execution, and refusing to accept anything less than excellence.
Wow.
But that has made him massively confident. So he's somebody who cares deeply, and he also knows how to get results out of people. That's why he's so confident. That's why he's aggressive, is because he knows what you need to hear. So, for example, I think this is what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman in the group that stands up, and he's like, man, hey, I had brain cancer. Or sorry, backtrack. I almost gave it away for a second. First is I started 75 hard. And started going through it, made massive gains, and then towards the end, I started passing out. I started to faint. I started to so I went and got tests, and I had brain cancer, 1% chance to live.
Wow.
And everyone's like, listen to this, like, oh man, that's, And then he says, Andy, you actually sent me a video. Somehow Andy, I can't remember the connection there, but somehow Andy found out about it through a connection, whatever, and it's his friend maybe, I don't know, asked him to send him a video. And what are most people going to tell that dude at that point?
Oh, so sorry to hear about your illness. Get well soon. Let me know if I can do anything for you.
That's exactly it. Prayers your way, my man.
Prayers and thoughts and prayers.
That's what do you say to that?
Yeah.
And he said, you sent me a video. Do you you probably don't remember that, is what this guy's saying. He's like, I absolutely remember sending you a video. And he's like, do you remember what you said? And it was almost like I'm testing you, like this guy, He's
yeah.
Okay.
Challenging Andy a little bit.
Do you remember what I said? Or what you said, sorry? He's like, I absolutely remember what I said. And he stands up out of his seat, Andy does, and he's like, I told you to, and I'm just quoting Andy here, okay? Remember, this guy just learned he has brain cancer at the moment of this video, 1% chance to live. And Andy said, I told you to either man the fuck up and live, or to keep being a little pussy, complaining, and die. You need to, if you're going to beat this, you got to man the up and live your life for you, your family, for everyone. Quit complaining about it. Quit sulking about it. I ain't here to tell you I'm sorry for you. Bro, I'm excited for you. What one man can overcome, any man can overcome. And there's been people that overcome what you're about to go overcome. And they've done it by manning the fuck up. So go do that. And all of us in the crowd are like,
yeah.
Like, that's like
bold,
aggressive, and bold, you know? And this guy then says, I signed up for Arate and I paid the money to be here so that I could stand here and look you in the eye and tell you, thank you for saving my life. I'm only here today because you cared enough to tell me what nobody else had the guts to tell me, was bold enough to tell me. And that absolutely is why it's what I needed to hear. It's not necessarily what I wanted to hear. It's what I needed to hear. It's what my family needed to hear. And it's why I'm alive today. And dude, tears. Everyone in that.
I can only imagine.
Everyone in the room.
Yeah.
Tears, dude. Everyone in the room.
I mean, it's just insane to think that if you love somebody, you're going to be bold like that and say those things. Like, you just got done telling me how you could feel Andy's love, how you could feel that team's love just being there in the facility. Oh, yeah. But when you truly love somebody like Andy did to that guy, you're going to tell them what you believe they need to hear.
Totally.
That's going to help them propel them into whatever situation they need to be in.
Totally.
So
but you know
it's just a huge takeaway about love, of what love truly is. It's having those hard conversations and saying those hard things to people.
And how do you get to a point where you're so confident that you know that what you're telling that person? Because the only way to be bold is to be confident, man.
Yeah.
And it's through the growth process. Sometimes we look at our weaknesses, the things that we're embarrassed about. Really, those things that you're embarrassed about. This is for listening. I believe, like, if you struggle with confidence, if you struggle with growth, and just everything that you're going through and wondering about, are those things in your past, are they, you're worried about them being uncovered or something, right? Or those things make you unworthy of the success that you're trying to achieve. No, those things are what allows you, or what will really propel you to achieve the success you desire and help. It's what makes you worthy to help other people.
Yeah.
You want to Andy's done? Andy's went through the growth process. It's made him very confident that anyone can go through the growth process, which allows him to be very bold and change people's lives and save people's lives. So whatever it is you're struggling with, whatever you're embarrassed about, my advice is not to run from those things. Ed actually talked about this at the event too. Ed Milet did. And he talked about, don't run from those things, share those things. He talked about his dad being an alcoholic. And the only way that his dad was able, that his dad was able to help other people, other alcoholics quit, was because his dad was an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I can help you because I am you. That's powerful. So those things that have been holding you back, those are also the things that will propel you forward and help you help other people propel their lives forward. Don't run from them, man. Move past them and then talk about them. People need to hear that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
You just be bold. So that's what makes Andy so bold. And it was a huge takeaway for me. One of the things that he said was, listen, man, so backtrack a little bit. Because ego, there's a book, right? Ego's the enemy. One of the questions that I asked Ed, I didn't even ask this. This was somebody, I don't even think they asked Ed. I think they asked Inky Johnson. Inky Johnson was there too, which I freaking love me some Inky Johnson.
Awesome.
Oh, I love Inky. I love Inky.
Yeah.
If you don't know Inky Johnson, go look up Inky Johnson.
If you don't know Inky Johnson, you don't know Tyler Deveraux.
Ooh!
Because Tyler Deveraux's always talking about Inky Johnson.
I love Inky, dude. I align with him very well. How do you maintain, or how do you manage your ego or something as you grow or something like that? And Inky's like, I'm just going to tell you, bro, you need some ego. Do you think ego's a bad thing? The guy's like, yeah? He's like, no, dude, you need ego. Ego isn't the enemy. Ego is your friend. It's your friend. If you're going to go out there and you're going to achieve big, freaking crazy, awesome things, you need some ego. You need some ego. You need to understand and have the ego to believe that you can accomplish anything great. Ego only becomes bad when it becomes destructive.
Right.
So you need ego. And then Andy came in and riffed on this a little bit more. Actually, so did Ed. And they talked about Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, when he goes into Tampa, right? And one of the first thing he does, you can go look it up and study this. First thing he does in the locker room is talk about how they're going to do great things. And people believe that they're going to do great things. Why? Because Tom Brady has an ego that is healthy ego. There's negative ego, but listen, you need ego. And that was a big takeaway for me because, once again, I love people and I love to connect with people. And one of my worries is, that I already mentioned, is that as we grow, and I know that I need a little ego to grow. I know you do, dude. But I also am worried that I want to continue to connect with people, But I'll tell you one thing that Andy said, and then I'll tie it in here, okay? He's like, listen, man, you have to walk in a room. I've talked to a lot of you this weekend, or this week. It was like Monday, Tuesday, Sunday type thing. I always say weekend. These days. And y'all are two y'all are too passive, man. You don't even know. You don't give yourself credit for who you are. And I'm sitting there listening to this, and I was like, I feel like I almost needed to hear it because, I walked up to Ed a number of times, and I'd be like, and talk to Ed. And anytime I'd go talk to Ed, I'd introduce myself again. Hey, Tyler Deveraux. Hey, this first time hey, Tyler Deveraux, you spoke. And every time he'd be like, bro, I know who you are. I know who you are. You don't need to introduce yourself every time. But I'm like, bro, you talk to a lot of people. And then he said, this is funny. When I said, oh, dude, you talk to a lot of people, man. He's like, yeah, but you have a pretty distinct look. You got a bald head and a big nose. Trust me, I know who you are. And I was like, oh, shit. Never been more happier to have a bald head and a big nose, I was laughing hard. But Andy said, he's like, dude, you guys need to walk into a room and know that you're the baddest motherfucker in the room. You need to walk in rooms and know, But what does that person do, though? If you're truly the baddest mother in the room, how does that person act?
It's a good question. Is it rhetorical, or do you want me to answer?
Well, I think I know you. I think you know. But how do you think most people would view if you were to say I'm the baddest fucker in this room? How do most people view that person is going to act?
Chin up, nose to the air, walking with a little bit of bounce. You know what I mean? But if
that's a great thing, though.
Yeah, but if we're talking, it totally is to change that your physique to exude that confidence is important for sure.
Super important. If you don't catch that, you need to hear this. How you literally your body, is massive to your self-confidence. It's massive to your overall well-being as a person. It's massive to your overall happiness.
Yep.
So that's important.
Yeah.
But keep going.
But I think that's probably how people see if they're picturing it, to come walking in, maybe being a boss, telling people what to do. That's not what I think of.
Ignoring people.
Ignoring people, just going about their business, doing everybody bows to them and does whatever they need them to do. I think that's probably what most people think of when they think of somebody walking in a room with ego.
That's not the baddest motherfucker in the room. That's that's the most insecure person in the room.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
The person that makes you feel small is the most insecure person in the room.
I agree.
The person who makes you feel bigger and seen and heard and valued, that's the baddest motherfucker in the room.
Absolutely.
That's who that is. Think about Louis Field, man. So Louis Field is Casey's dad.
Okay.
And Louis, man, he's a legend he's a legend in the space, but he's a legend where I grew up.
From. Yeah.
And I absolutely loved how Casey talked about his dad. And he said, I didn't know who my dad was until I was older. We'd go to a rodeo.
He was just my dad.
He was a humble champion, I'd go to a rodeo, they'd get $5, go over the fair, come back, and I didn't know that my dad just set records and, won championships. I just had a great time at the fair and got a slingshot or whatever he said.
And he even said, and then we'd get all in the truck and pile in the truck and head home.
Drive home.
Yeah.
After he wins the world and make sure that we knew, hey, do you guys know that I'm the baddest mother effer in the room? No, he's just dad. That's a humble champion. That is how the baddest mother effer in the room acts. That's how it is you know what you're doing. You know what you're there to accomplish. And that ego is your friend at that point. Why? Because it is uplifting, not destructive. It's uplifting, not destructive. That's massive. Tom Brady makes everyone around him better. Andy Frisella makes everyone around him better. Ed Milet makes everyone around him better. I want to be that same person, dude. I want to be that same person.
Yeah.
So in order for me to be that same person, I need to be willing to give myself a little bit of credit and be willing to believe that I can accomplish great things. And it's the same for anyone listening to this. If you want to really go out there and make an impact on those people around you and be a blessing to the lives of everyone you come in contact with, you have to have ego.
Yeah.
You have to have ego to know that you're the dude. You're the girl. You're the person to go, however you identify.
Nice.
To go and do to go and do that,
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And before you move on,
I
just want to tell you that you do that. You're sitting here talking about how you want to be that person. I know this is not usually how the podcast goes, but you do that.
I appreciate it.
Just wanted to point that out. And it is being somebody that's been a beneficiary of that. And I know you do that because you've done that to me.
Thank you, dude.
It has changed my life. All right, this podcast isn't about me. I apologize. It's not what I'm trying to do. But the effect that you can have on somebody is massive because I've been that person that Tyler's been able to affect by having that ego to help others and to uplift others. So as Tyler talks about how to do it, I want to talk about the impact and effect that it can have on others because it can be massive, and my life's changed completely because of that.
Thank you for saying that.
So
man.
make sure that if you are in an opportunity to be able to have that ego to uplift others around you, that you take advantage to do that because you never know the impact that you can have on somebody.
And you never know the impact that that person will have on you. Because I've told you before that you've impacted my belief in myself because you're a great person.
Thanks, bro.
And man, if you're going to continue, so those people that you help will inevitably help you, dude.
Absolutely.
Get in here, you big dog. Dude, you're a stud, man. You're a stud. And I just loved it, because it was interesting. It was super interesting, bro, because I had Andrew and their team at Dream Dedicated had just sent me a video. I watched this video right before I listened to your guys' extended cup with Casey. And Pax, is like kind of walking around. He's like, anytime I'd come up on the screen, he'd be like, who's that bald guy? Why is that guy so bald? He's just being Pax. Brittany's like, hey, you should listen to that bald guy. You might learn something, And I'm like, yeah. But then...
But at the same time, you just want to be the bald guy.
Oh, shit,
Pax, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, you just want to be dad.
But then I listened to Casey talk about his dad, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I just want to be a dad.
Yeah.
I just want to be Pax and Marley's dad.
Yeah.
And how much more powerful when down the road they're like, well, I didn't know that my dad, And
because in fact, you've seen what that's done for Casey.
Oh.
And how Casey is, I don't know Casey really well. I got to know him pretty decently well. Is probably a pretty spitting image of his dad.
Yeah.
And on those fronts, right? It just
seems
care of
very humble.
I mean,
dude.
it seemed that way for sure.
So, and Ed is humble. So that's just what I learned, man. That's what I learned. If I learned so much, bro. We could pump out episodes.
We've had multiple conversations on things you've learned there.
And I'm more than willing to share them, And maybe we wrap up with this, dude, because it's right in line the same thing. Ed gets up, and I think that Ed had just came out with his book, The Power of One More, and it talks about his dad, and so I think that he was it was just about to release. It was right before the big event that he had before, so I think he was very much in that like.
The event was awesome, by the way.
Thinking about being a dad.
Yeah.
And he talked a ton about business. Ed talked a lot about being a dad.
Interesting.
Which I love that. And one thing that he said that really stuck out to me was, he said, I'm a better dad when I'm crushing it at work. It's like, I'm a better dad when I'm crushing it at work, because somebody asked him how involved, this is a question that somebody asked Ed, how involved are you with your kids? Like, you do a lot. How involved are you, and what's the balance or whatever, And it was awesome and I was very curious to see what the answer was, because I've heard Ed talk about his kids, but it's like, it was a pretty bold question. How involved are you, bro? Because you seem pretty busy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm very involved, but what you don't understand is it's not just about time. I'm a better dad when I'm crushing it at work. I'm a better person when I'm crushing it at work. It's not all about time. It's about making sure that your family knows that they're the priority. Let me tell you a mistake that I've made. And this is Ed talking. And he said, I used to schedule all my work stuff and then fit my family in when I had some, the other areas. And so even though I was spending time, my family knew that they weren't the priority, work was. Now what I do is I schedule my family things first and then schedule the work things around it. My family stuff is scheduled first. They know that they're the priority. And that was impactful for me, because what had I been doing? The same thing that he had been doing.
Right.
Scheduling work and fitting family in.
Yeah.
And I had felt that. I had literally started to feel that take a toll. And in fact, at this conference, I tell Brittany, hey man, there's this, conference that I want to go to. It's, and it's not, she still doesn't even know what it costs. Like, that's not the conversation now. It's, I'm going to take some time to go. Is that okay? Hey, the day that I'm coming home is our anniversary, 12 years. And I was like, hey, I'm coming home. It's going to land on our anniversary, but we can celebrate right after. You're like, da-da-da-da. That was my, and of course, Brittany's the most loving, supportive freaking person in the world. She's like, yeah, of course. Geez, of course. It's no big deal. Yeah, we'll celebrate it, that weekend when you go home, wherever. But I am at this conference. This has happened all day one. And I call her after day one, and I was like, she's like, what's your biggest takeaway? And I was like, that I haven't made you a priority, I start getting teary-eyed, and then I tell her about it, and I'm thinking that, I tell her about it, and then I'm not necessarily knowing what her reaction will be, but what I kind of thought her reaction would be was like, oh, dude, Tyler, you're fine. Like, it's really not a big deal. But no, she was crying hard. That's how she had felt. It's not her priority. And that broke my fucking heart, Yeah. And so I would say it's probably one of the biggest points that I pulled from there is it's the most important thing to me. My family is the most important thing to me. Nothing trumps that. But it's so easy to justify, especially when your family's so supportive,
Totally.
And so why do I go to these trainings? Why do I continue to want to be educated? Why do I want to surround myself with people that are at a different level than I am? Because it impacts me far past business, dude. It impacts me as a person, as a dad, as a husband, as everything. And I want to, like, our coaching programs, our company, you've heard us probably say this on the podcast, we're far more than a multifamily education company. We're a mindset company.
Yep.
I want people to come in and learn how to better their life, not just acquire apartments. I want you to be able to do that too, but I want you to learn and walk away and be like, that helped me better my life in every aspect. So.
Man, it's special, dude. Thank you so much for sharing that and going into detail there. A lot of really good takeaways, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. As we wrap up here, Aloha value or Hawaiian value for this week that we picked. Do you want to go over it, or do you want me to? Go ahead.
Ike Pono is what we did.
Yeah.
And it means to see clearly. And Jackson found this one, and I really loved this one because Ike means to... So Ike, this principle of Ike, it's like you have to listen to the viewpoint of others, especially if it's contradicting, if you want your viewpoint to be listened to and respected. And that's key. Because, man, now it's freaking, dude, this is what we do. We just surround ourselves with people that only think how we think. That is not how growth happens.
No.
It's not how growth happens, man. We need to surround ourselves with people with different viewpoints and truly listen and learn. And then Pono means everything in harmony. So Ike Pono, living the value of Ike Pono is, to be able to see clearly is we have to have really sincere intentions on what sincere intentions, period, in everything that we're doing. Growth, as we're growing, you want to know why it's okay to have, and why it's literally necessary to have ego along the way. It's only okay if your intentions are pure.
Yep.
Ed talks about that in his book, right? Your identity needs to be tied into your intentions. Well, your intentions are pure. So like if you want to truly see clearly, you need to learn from other people. You need to listen to other people. And those sincere intentions is not only how we see clearly, but it's also how we successfully achieve anything of meaning in our life. Anything.
Man, thank you. I agree. Yes. No.
Thank you for finding. You found the value, bro.
So good. Yeah, you explained it really well, though. So thank you. Tyler, thank you again so much for going over this. It's so good to be back on the pod with you.
Love it.
And go over these things. And I mean, thank you to Ed and Andy too. I know they'll listen. They'll be listening.
They subscribe.
They subscribe.
Hey, they better subscribe.
They'll be listening.
Texting this episode over to them for sure.
Yeah. No, but I sent you a message while you were there, and thanked you for being there. Thanked you for taking that time away from your family to be there.
You did.
To ultimately grow yourself, to selfishly benefit myself and everybody else in the companies and both companies. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sending that, dude. I freaking loved that message so much, man. I did love that message.
Yeah. So another takeaway from that is remember that when you're working on yourself, when you're working on trying to become better and be that person that you know you can be, that it's not only affecting you.
Yeah.
But in turn, it's also affecting all the people in your life and going to uplift and better them as well. So take that serious. Take that time to take care of yourself very serious.
Massive.
Because it's, like I said, it's not going to benefit you, but everybody around you. Ty, thank you so much, man.
Hey,
thank you so much for this
y'all
episode.
For listening, for tuning in, for rating, reviewing, sharing, subscribing, all those things, man. Love and appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend or a week whenever you listen to this, and live always with aloha. Peace.